So next thing I want to talk about is this controversy that's happening over in the quote-unquote Christian hip-hop industry. So Rapzilla posted an article. Rapzilla is a website for quote-unquote Christian hip-hop, and they posted this article, and the title was Reach Records Removes 116 from their mission statement. Now this title is obviously very provoking because Reach Records is arguably the biggest name in the quote-unquote Christian hip-hop industry, with artists like Lecrae and Annie Mineo, and one of the most integral parts of that brand is 116. Now 116 is referencing the verse Romans 1:16, which is for I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, and then there's more of it, but that's the main part that's important here. They built this whole brand on this 116 thing and the whole idea of being unashamed of what they believe, and now in the about section of their website, that is no longer there. So the new About section on the Reach Records website reads, Reach Records began in a couple of closets. One served as a headquarters with a desk and a printer. The other was a makeshift studio. Like many startups, passion overrides the lack of experience and drives it forward. We are excited to make a difference, ready to see the world change. Even then, when the concerts might be the 15 students at the local Boys and Girls Club, the desire to speak into the heart and soul of the listeners is what fueled the creative and strategic efforts at the label. So that was the new version of the About section. The old version reads, art functions as the billboard of culture. New ideas and values move through art and work their way into the fabric of the people. Major movements all had a soundtrack formed around them, and in some cases, the music sparked the movement. At Reach, our passion is changing the way people see the world. The reason we create music and media and travel the world to hit stages big and small is not simply to be successful. From the early days in 2004, working out of closets and selling CDs out of the trunk, to charting on Billboard and touring internationally, our goal has always been the hearts of the people. Our hope lies in the person and the work of Jesus. If this man was a mere teacher, our work would be influenced by him. Yet he claims to be God and change the hearts of humanity. So, hi. Brief intermission in this video. This is going to be kind of a rough cut here to the next clip because I realized after going to the Reach Records website and actually reading the About section on their website, I said some stuff here that isn't true. I said that the new About section is shorter, when in fact it is not. It is actually a little bit longer than the older About section. But the reason I said this is because I got all my information from the Rapzilla article, which did not post the full new About section, which is kind of messed up. You should have put the full thing because you said it was the new one when really wasn't it in its entirety. But I said some false information, so I had to edit that out. So I just go into the next clip with my other points that are valid and based in fact. Really, they're just my opinion, but at least they're not infactual. Okay, that's all. I apologize. I should have had my facts straight before starting recording, but I didn't, and that's on me. So, enjoy the rest of the video. And the other thing is, people are all mad in the comments, like, oh, I've noticed them falling away from Jesus over the past few months. You can tell, Lecrae blew up, he went mainstream. Why is that a bad thing? If you listen to any of the music that they're currently putting out, they're still talking about God and talking about Jesus, and it's still the same mission. They have just sort of rebranded as not a quote-unquote Christian label. Nobody's mad at any other musician for being successful, but just since these guys used to be super Christians and now they're not as corny, people are mad. That's not a good thing to say. The artists on this label are just making art. That's what they're doing. They're making quality art to the best of their abilities that has a message behind it. And that's the whole point. The artists on this label are making the best art they possibly can with the message they want behind it. That's the goal. That's how the message gets spread. The problem with Christian music is it's not good. A lot of the Christian music you hear is not great music because a lot of it is just these artists who are copying more popular artists that are mainstream. And so it just sounds like a cheap knockoff. But then you do hear artists that are Christian artists that are making quality music, and most of those people, just kind of a generalization here, most of those people do not consider themselves or label themselves as a Christian artist. They're Christians making music, and that music has a message behind it, but they're just trying to make it good. That's the best way to reach people. That's the whole point of Christian music, is to spread the gospel and reach the masses, reach records. Everybody listens to music. So if you can make music that someone can bump in their car when they're driving down the highway, or something that people can vibe to, something that sounds good, and then also have a message behind it that you believe in, that's what you should be doing. And that's what the artists at Reach are doing. They're making good music with a good message behind it, and people like it. Christians and non-Christians alike. That's the point. Christian music, the reason I hate that term is because then it turns off all this whole audience, all these people to it, and they're like, oh, it's Christian music, that's corny stuff, they're just talking about Jesus and preaching at me. And that's a problem, because then they never hear it. And a lot of the stuff is not super preachy and super corny. It's just trying to inspire people and reach people's hearts, and that's what it's all about. Besides me being creative and trying to make a career doing this YouTube thing and doing entertainment, this is probably the thing I'm most passionate about. I just can't stand people labeling things as Christian when it's not. It's music. Music doesn't have a soul. Music isn't going to heaven when it dies, because music is sound waves. People behind the music are Christians, yes, but the music they make does not have religious beliefs. If I'm a Christian who is a carpenter and I make a table, is that a Christian table? No, because it's a table, and it's a table made of wood, which when you get down to the bottom of it is just a collection of molecules put together. Are those Christian molecules because my Christian hands touch them? No. It's the same with music. It's not Christian music because a Christian man's voice is coming out of your earbuds, so thusly those sound waves have been blessed. That doesn't make any sense. I think people are overreacting to this whole thing. They're still on the mission. They're still doing great things. Lecrae was literally, when this whole controversy happened, he was over in, I think, Ukraine, ministering to people. Whoa. While everybody back home in America is sitting at their computers getting angry about a record label for taking Jesus out of their about section, while the co-founder of that record label is actually doing stuff and evangelizing and preaching the gospel. That's what's sad. Y'all aren't doing anything. If you can do this better, go ahead and try. I'd like to see you try. You're just angry behind a screen. Let's read some highlights from the comment section of this article. One of these comments here says, about time, the word itself is blessed and you should live by it, but the whole 116 movement got corny quick. Now that's not a critical comment like, why'd you take Jesus out of the about section? That's a comment I fully agree with. The 116 movement in and of itself is awesome. I love the idea of being unashamed, but Christians took it and ran with it, and it did get corny real quick, and that's not the fault of the label, that's the fault of the people listening. So yeah, I mean, they're not getting rid of 116 though. 116 is still all over their clothes and stuff. They just released a whole new line of clothes with the 116 label. They wouldn't do that if they didn't actually like it, because that would be a stupid business decision, and they're a business. Remember, they're a business? We got someone who said they took the name of Jesus Christ and the verse Romans 1:16 out of the statement. Now the main slogan is change the way people see the world. My question is how you plan on doing that without mentioning the name of Jesus Christ. The only way the world will change is by people coming to him. How will they come to him if they don't even hear his name? Just some things to think about. Let's remember that they still definitely use his name and talk about him in their music, which is their main business. Music. I pray these things change, but it's been a progressive falling away. Not surprised at all. Really? Really? How have you been seeing them fall away, might I ask? Let me just, I think the reason people are saying stuff like this is, oh, I've been seeing them fall away for a while, is because stuff like Lecrae's new album. So Lecrae is like the main guy. He's the poster boy for this whole thing. He didn't ask for that. Just happened that way. But his new album, a lot of it, like, he doesn't mention Jesus explicitly a whole lot, but he talks about a lot of good things. He gets personal and talks about his life, which is always nice. I appreciate that with an artist when they can get honest and I can learn more about them as a human being, because that just helps me enjoy their art a little more. And then, I mean, his song Welcome to America is just about how, hey, America's kind of jacked up. Let's realize that. I don't hate America, but it's kind of messed up. Here are some problems. Just something to think about. Like, it's not a bad thing that they don't mention Jesus in every single song, because the ideas of every single song are still sound and good and grounded in the gospel. All these people getting mad just want him to literally say Jesus. And that's the dumbest thing. If you just want your artist to just say Jesus, what is that even helping? Just saying the name Jesus doesn't help anything. You have to represent what Jesus stands for, not just saying his name. They basically took the name of Jesus out, and I see nothing referring to God, not even indirectly. What's going on? And then he tagged all the artists. I smell controversy. What does that even mean? Somebody responded to why they did this as, because they are ashamed of Jesus Christ. Did you not see Andy? He was ashamed to say his team was Jesus when he was asked what Romans 1:16 meant. It was a brand name at that point. I'm just disgusted at them for doing that. They used to be rappers about Jesus and became worldly rappers. Shaking my head. Here's the thing. Worldly rapper versus Jesus rapper. There's no difference. There's just rappers, and they just have different messages behind them. So boom, roasted. So there's some negative comments, and then there's people who I completely agree with who are saying stuff like, I feel like the fact that y'all posted this isn't right, which is true. This was a super misleading title, and then literally the thing I talked about with Lecrae preaching over in Ukraine, they posted an article the next day saying, while all these people are getting angry about this controversy, Lecrae is preaching the gospel in Ukraine. You created the controversy. Rapzilla really messed up on this one, if you ask me. They posted this article with that title to get a rise out of people. The whole point was to make people angry and stir the pot and make people, feel things. And you did a great job because people are freaking out. And then you come back the next day with an article like, you all need to change the way you are because you are all getting mad about this when they're still all about Jesus. He's preaching in Ukraine. You did that. That's like if I shot a person and then people got mad about it and were like, you shot a person, but then I'm preaching the gospel the next day. I'm like, well, you all are getting mad about me shooting this guy. I'm preaching the gospel, shaking my head. That's a terrible analogy, metaphor. I don't even know what that is, but that's a terrible example of what this is. You see how it's messed up, though. You guys really messed up. Really messed up. And I know people from Rapzilla probably aren't watching this, but to everyone who is watching this, they messed up, and that's super not cool. So yeah, I feel very passionately about this topic. I think people are freaking out over nothing. They changed the about section of a website, which no one really reads anyway. If you go to their store, all their clothes still say 116, still the label exists. They still have the 116 stuff. It's still a part of the brand. It's just not in the about section of their website, which you probably never read until this point, and now you're angry that they changed something you never even knew existed.